Hey guys, Artosis here with the CasterMuse and Rockstar League. This is the round of 8, and it is a best of 5 Zerg versus Zerg between Killer and Beast. And this should be a crazy round of 8 and a very fast best of 5, I think, right? Because it's Zerg versus Zerg, so this is the most aggressive, quickest matchup in the entire game. We see a lot of Zergling attacks that end up killing off one player, and we also see, of course, a lot of play into Mutalisks that end up killing them as well. We almost never have a long game of Zerg vs. Zerg, and when we do, of course, that is a beautiful snowflake that we will probably never see again. But I mean, I hope we can get a game like that out of these two. It just doesn't seem that likely. Like, for instance, Beast, he's got some very good micro. I think he's a pretty aggressive Zerg overall. He's not the most aggressive Zerg. Killer, a bit more on the macro side, I guess. But definitely has those aggressive qualities. It's Zerg versus Zerg anyways, so it's not like you can generally sit back and play a macro game. Although I guess we did see, like, for instance, in this ASL season from Larva, some pretty good, I guess, macro-esque plays where he was going for longer games with spores and things like that. What will we see here, though? The map is Eclipse. Of course, Zerg vs. Zerg, they're going to be able to send their overlords towards each other immediately since it is just a two-player map. This is going to make Zergling rushes a lot weaker. So we see both sides going for that hatchery first play. Completely lining up build orders thus far. Overlord. Little Overlord kiss. Mwah. As they go by. The early part of Zerg vs. Zerg. How we wait. Spawning pool at the same time for both sides, as well as the gases. Going to continue to pop out a few drones as well. One thing that you actually just saw down here while we wait, you can see that he'll do this over and over. What you do with see the larva, how he can move it to the left side of the hatch? You can actually force larva to move to the left side of a hatchery. Of course, you see, the larvae are just over here right now. But, like, if you are having your minerals on the left side, it's a good idea to move those larvae over. And what you do is you just select the larva with something like an overlord, and you give them that stop or hold position command, and they actually just wiggle to the left side of the hatchery. So, just a little tidbit for you out there, for anyone watching that doesn't know this little trick with Zerg. Couple drones being transferred down. Single drone right here. We have the layer on the way already on both sides. Of course, a couple lings going to be produced. I think both sides will have to make at least a few. 4 lings coming up on this side. None yet for Killer. But he throws down a creep colony right away. Okay. Now, we have to wait and see, are we going to get some Zergling speed? I'd be really surprised if we do not. Yeah, Zergling speed on the way, Zergling speed here as well. So the big difference is 4 Zerglings against 0, but a sunken colony being made. And honestly, before speed, this seems like a pretty good choice. Like, I guess you could try to run past with those 4 Zerglings, but you're definitely going to lose at least a couple here. And if any blocking happens, then you might end up losing all of them. And of course, the sunken is going to be really good defensively for later in the game as well. Like, when you think about it, a lot of times when you have Mutalisk play, Zergling counterattacks come into it quite heavily as well. So the sunken definitely will help out against that. Some more lings popping out. Looks like it's spire time on both sides. Of course, both of them throwing that down right away. And quite a few lings being produced. Maybe both of them feel like they do have enough drones at this point. Killer is up a single drone right now. And don't forget, the reason he's up that single drone is when those first 4 lings were made, he made 2 more drones himself, and only 1 turned into a sunken. So, small advantage in that way. Gases on both sides. This is actually probably the least aggressive ZVZ that I think I've ever seen, basically. They are just sitting there right now and macroing up. But this is what can happen on a 2-player map anyways. Killer popping out quite a few lings right now. He is still up that single drone, sending these lings out, so you know there's got to be a similar amount of lings on the other side as well. Most of them sitting in the main base here for Beast. He's going to start to send out... No, brings them back as these lings come down. Let's take a wider look at this. Yeah, a lot of speedlings on both sides. And it looks like Killer wants to fight. I don't know if that's the right choice, though. It looks like a Beast might actually have a couple more lings there. And he does end up pulling back. Of course, the Spires are going to be finishing here shortly. We see 3 drones in the gas there. And yeah, so 3 drones in the gas over here as well. This geyser actually doesn't mine 100% perfectly. It's very close, but just want to throw that out there. So yeah, it's time for mutas. Now, they both have a lot of lings. They're both going to make a lot of mutas, and with 2 gases, it's going to be pretty much non-stop on that Mutalisk production. Of course, catching any overlords in the middle of the map can be a big deal. It looks like the furthest overlord right now is Killer's overlord in the center. So that's something we're going to want to watch. The mutas coming across right now, pushing back the Zerglings here of Beast. He's getting his mutas together. Oh, he catches with the first volley here upon the mutas. Oh, this is actually a big deal for Beast. He's doing a fantastic job and kills off a single muta, but now the moving shot's in the other direction. Oh, man, putting some Scourge damage in. So we have 5 mutas here and 4 mutas here. Killer definitely a bit behind. Some more hits there with those Scourge, and, I mean, this looks like Beast is just gonna take it. He has destroyed absolutely everything. You can see he has that big supply advantage as well. Flying back across, some more mutas and Scourge popping out here for Killer. But is it going to be too little, too late? Following these Beast Mutalisks right now, they are trying to come in for some damage. Ooh, the moving shots do connect. And utilizes his Scourge to kill the trailing Scourge there. Gonna run away with these 4. Let's take a look. What do we have on the other side? 2 mutas here, some more popping out. Of course, more popping out for Beast as well. I think they both basically have their full Zergling counts right now. A few being sent out from Beast. Maybe gonna try to get in there and do some sort of counterattack, but when you look at this Zergling spread plus the Sunken Colony, it's hard to imagine Killer taking damage from Zerglings. Now, Beast, look at this supply differential. Beast, a lot higher. He's actually up like 7 or 8 supply, which, of course, in a Zerg vs. Zerg is massive. He's got 7 mutas right now against 6. He does have a bit more damage on these, but more coming up for him as well. I do expect him to be up at least a couple mutas based on that first engagement that we had, so I think Killer does have to sit back a little bit and try to get some Scourge hits. Keep that micro up. Maybe some of the glaives can bounce off onto his other units, buildings, overlords, things like that. Now, Beast coming up to kill off a couple of these overlords. Oh, this is brutal for Killer. Oh, man, he's going to be supply blocked for a long time. You do not have a lot of money in this matchup. We have 10 mutas out, flying around. A lot of Scourge joining. Yeah, you see just slightly behind. 9 mutas plus a lot of Scourge here from Killer, who has to remake those overlords. And here we go. He is going in now. Since Killer is supply block, Beast going to be going for the kill. Oh, the micro is hard on both sides here. Scourge being sent over. Killer's Scourge actually doing a better job than Beast so far. He's down on mutas a little bit, but he has that giant Scourge ball as well. So trying to get on top of these. Following this in, a lot of Scourge hits occur, and it is a higher amount of mutas right now for Beast. So he is starting to get a bit of an advantage. No upgrades on either side. 6 against 3. Killer trying to run out of here. Of course, he will be caught as we get to the end of the map. This tries to split off. And one will end up getting away, but he gets the other 2, which means this Mutalisk count is just going to get bigger and bigger here for Beast. Not looking very good for Killer. He's popping out some more Scourge, popping out some more mutas as well, but I think the killing blow should be coming towards him very shortly here. Beast moving across, going after some of these overlords. He's going to force an engagement. You can't be losing these non-stop. And Killer comes out with what he has, looking for those big Scourge hits. Gets a couple, but 2 Mutalisks here, not going to cut it. GG, Beast wins game 1. Let's go into game number 2. All right, so definitely a fast and furious game. That first one, Beast taking down Killer relatively quickly. Well, I guess it's Zerg vs. Zerg, so pretty standard, right? He won that first Mutalisk battle, just so important. When you get the Mutalisk advantage, it's almost impossible for your opponent to win if you had the same openers like they did. I mean, the only difference was that Sunken Colony. But of course, that's not what ended up causing the game to be lost for Killer. But not able to win the first engage, and that's that's important. You got to be very careful about that. Now, we're on Fighting Spirit, an old 4-player map. We have Killer in the bottom right and Beast in the top left. And obviously going to be a very important game here for Killer. ZVZ is a pretty volatile matchup, but of course you don't want to go down 0-2 at the beginning of a best of 5, or it's very likely that it's going to end quickly. Yeah, being in a 4-player map, I'm trying to think of like advantages and disadvantages for a mirror matchup that can occur. And on rotationally symmetric maps, there certainly can be, but when you're cross spawn, it negates all of that, right? So it's not like you have your natural defending your main or something. Both sides are basically in the same position overall. So no big difference here as far as spawns, but looking at the build orders, definitely a little bit. So a bit quicker here for Beast as far as the spawning pool and extractor goes. And then over on this side, yeah, it looks like this is actually a 9 pool. And then on this side, it looks like it's an overpool here. You can see the Overlord popping out in the pool being made. Gas going to be taken for Killer as well. So Overpool against 9 pool. I guess Overpool should have a slight edge here because they should be up a drone for most of the game. And you can see that, yeah, right at this second, he is up a couple of drones. Of course, a lot of lings being made immediately here out of Beast. If you're going to 9 pool, there is definitely a reason for that. You want to get those Zerglings out and possibly punish your opponent for things like a hatchery first. Now, there is a hatchery coming down for Killer, but he's cross-spawned, so it's going to take a long time to get there. And his spawning pool has just finished as well, so he should be fine as far as defense, right? Like, he hasn't seen the Zerglings yet, and that could be an issue if he doesn't end up making enough. But yeah, he's making more right now. Zergling speed on the way for Beast. I expect to see him start that layer pretty soon as well. Now, here come those lings through the middle of the map. Couple more joining. Still no real intel. Overlord going towards the center. Some scouting, well, a scouting Zergling coming out. If he actually ends up seeing... Oh my gosh, that is a... Oh, that was so close. Oh, he sees him. He sees him. That's a big moment right there for Killer. Now, Beast, he is going to be going for it. He is rushing down towards this natural. A lot of lings have already been made for Killer, but he's going to bring some drones out as well. These are really going to help in the fight. They can screw up AI. They can shoot over Zerglings as well. And here we go. The speed upgrade is done here for Beast, but the drones going to add some additional damage in here as well. Some heavy micro on both sides, but it looks like a slight Zergling advantage exists for Killer right now. More coming across the map for Beast. He has his layer on the way as well as a backup plan, but Killer retains the Zergling advantage, pushing Beast back at least for now. Now, he does have his second hatchery up, which means he is going to have access to more larvae than Beast is going to have. Now, you can kind of negate this by sitting at a concave on top of your ramp, making it very hard for Zerglings to break through. But I got to look at this game and say Killer has a drone advantage. He has a ling advantage. He has a larva advantage. And while his layer is not quite done, we do have the spire started, it's not going to be that much behind. So definitely liking this position for Killer as he moves forward. 4 lings actually left. So Beast being very greedy with his defense. Very sparse defense here. Only 5 lings on top of the ramp. And an immediate turnaround from Killer. Kind of interesting to see. This little group of lings, I think, wanted to do either a flank or a counterattack. Yeah, a couple out on the map. This is a very popular move, is to keep 2 speedlings out. So if your opponent counterattacks you, you can try to get their drones. No spire as of yet. The layer's been done for a little bit, but he hasn't thrown down that spire, which means that we're probably going to see a lot of lings made for an attack and then an evolution chamber, I'm thinking, right? Like, he has a very good amount of Zerglings right now. It's actually pretty similar to what we see on the other side. I think he's about 2 lings off. But the evolution chamber does have to go down because he's just not going to be ready for the Mutalisks otherwise. But look at the drone difference. 14 to 8 right now. And of course, he does have to throw down a couple creep colonies to make those spores for the anti-Mutalisk defense. But that's, I mean, that's normal if you get this far behind on that spire attack. And that can help you out in some other ways as well. If you both get into similar amounts of mutas, the spores are going to make it hard for your opponent to attack you. So a lot of Lings coming across the map for Beast right now. He hasn't made the mutas, even though he does have that Spire, a single muta being made, maybe to chase around some Overlords or whatnot. And the Lings coming in for an attack right now. Beast with a ton of Zerglings getting in on top of everything. A Spore is on the way for anti-muta. Look at this. It's so many Zerglings right now for Beast. Killer trying to come through, but he's actually attacking really poorly through here. I think Beast is going to be able to break him. He has quite a few more. He's going to be able to take out this Spore as well, which means his muta that comes over is going to be able to add in a ton of damage. Killer taking a bad fight there at the natural. Maybe a little bit too greedy with his drone production, and now his natural hatchery looks like it's going to end up going down. This is a terrible situation for our Teal Zerg. And if he goes down 0-2, you can't think he has too much of a chance here. Let's take a look. The muta coming out now as well, going after this Overlord, trying to break up the ramp. He has way more Zerglings. I think this game is just about done. There's so little defense. Double Spore in the main base. The Spire's being made. Oh my god, he starts to target down that Spire. If you kill the Spire, there is just no coming back here as Killer. Look at this. He's going to be able to kill the Zerglings as well. He is on top of that Spire. Nothing producing as far as Mutalisk tech, and down it goes. I think that has to be it, and that means that Beast will take a 2-0 lead.